can't believe that was the conclusion of that map. That was insane.
You couldn't have written it better. You couldn't have written it better if it was scripted.
Living started in 2013 after we lost a very good man in the name of Dwayne Lally to a mental illness. They say death by suicide affects 115 people, but you can't even put a number on it. The ripple effect that the loss of one life had on thousands of people far outweighed what I've ever experienced in my entire life.
I received a call saying he'd gone missing. I was driving around the whole of the Gold Coast looking for him. I had no idea where to find him.
Dwayne was an avid boxing man, very talented, life of the party, very charismatic, extremely passionate.
Loving, loyal, he was very cheeky.
Mental illness is costing many people their lives every single day. While I'm sitting here speaking, people are taking their life, and it's because there's people suffering in silence.
1 in 5 people suffer from some form of mental illness, and suicide's the leading cause of death between the ages of 15 and 44.
You can look for things like not getting out of bed of a morning, being socially disconnected, loss of appetite, change in mood, change in behaviour, lack of self-esteem.
Dwayne suffered from depression and bipolar for a number of years, and the stigma kept him quiet. So we wanted to turn that negative into a positive, and if the shoe was on the other foot, I'm sure Dwayne would have done the same. We're just doing what he would have done.
Hi, my name's Dan Price. I don't know where I'd be if I didn't connect with Livin, but I certainly wouldn't be as well as I am today. I was suicidal and tried to take my life on the 4th of December 2014. I was very lucky to survive. I didn't want people to know that I was struggling because of the stigmas around mental illness.
We noticed that there were plenty of great service providers in this country, but all too common people weren't seeking help because of this stigma. So we wanted to bridge that gap.
As males, we're extremely tough. We want to be the tough people, the ones that have all the answers, the ones that don't want to admit our vulnerabilities and our weaknesses.
You might not have the answers, but if you can offer support and just listen to them, that could be what they need in that moment of time.
I was an alpha male and a popular guy, and I didn't want people to think I was weak, and that's why I love the message that Livin presents, which is it ain't weak to speak.
We go all around the country, businesses, sporting clubs, teaching people that it ain't weak to speak. What we're really doing is educating them in how to speak, where to speak, and then we're educating people on how to listen and how to look for these warning signs, because without one you can't really have the other. It's all about being honest and open. If something's off, just ask them.
That's what living's all about, taking that stigma away and giving people hope, help, connection, and giving them the confidence to speak up and seek the help when they need it and when they deserve it.
We believe with education comes understanding, with understanding comes acceptance, and with acceptance comes hope.
I want to change the way the world understands, perceives and interprets mental health. Let's change the dynamics in which this is looked at. For far too long it's been a stigma. We're going to make this a dinner table conversation, the same way that we'd put our hand up and run for help if we had a broken leg.
Don't be afraid to have those, hard-hitting, confronting conversations, because it could save a life.
I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life, and Livin has been instrumental in changing my life for the better.
If in doubt, reach out, because there's a lot of people out there that want to help and support you making that change to get back on track to start living again.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, and good afternoon from wherever you're joining us from around the globe. This is Oceanic Nationals. Today marks the halfway point in this tournament. I am Manic, and I'm joined by the ever so knowledgeable Raven, and it's good to be on the show, mate. And I mean, it's Friday night for us here. It's the best kind of night.
Yeah, it is. It's great to have Oceanic Nationals on a Friday night. It feels good to be able to get into some Siege and then be able to worry about the weekend after that. But look, I'm super excited for these matches tonight, Manic.
Look, to be honest, couldn't be more pumped. It's a A beast of a night, in all honesty. But very quickly, before we move any further, make sure you do head over to the socials. That's Rainbow6ANZ. Also, get involved in the hashtag OCN. Have your say. Have a chat with us here on the desk as well. We'd love to hear your opinions. But, Raven, very quickly just said about the absolute bangers we have tonight. They are filled with them.
They are filled with them. And look, we had a very strong showing on Wednesday from a lot of teams. So it started to really flatten out some of the potentials of these matches. So it has made this match, or this night in particular, very exciting because I feel like there is just really not that many standouts at the moment in Oceanic Nationals.
No, and you did speak about, obviously, the games that we've already seen. This is where all the teams lie at the moment. Pittsburgh Knights are out on top by a round differential of 5 compared to Nobles, well, rather 5 making it 10 compared to Nobles 5. Sorry, I think I confused a few audience members there. Wildcard Elevate, I don't want to read them off, but LFO sitting at the bottom of the table, that's a bit of a highlight for me, I think, Raven.
Yeah, definitely not what we were expecting out of LFO coming into Oceanic Nationals. They had a very strong Six Masters earlier in the year, almost making playoffs, just narrowly missing out. They also had a 5-7 loss to Noble just on Wednesday. So Noble, you could see there sitting in second place. That's by no means a terrible result for them, although they didn't get the points. They finally looked like they were competitive. So I think that has just, like I said before, evened out the vibe of a lot of these matches.
Certainly has. Talking about the vibes of today's matches, let's have a look at who we have. These, if you've been watching, are going to be spicy as ever. Okami and LFO to kick us off here, Raven.
Look, I'm really looking forward to that too because Okami are another team that has actually had flailing form. The last couple of matches, they have not looked at all like the Okami we come to expect. And so seeing LFO rise into a solid performance against Noble on Wednesday, I think that's a danger sign for Okami. Like, I really feel like that first match is going to be very exciting.
Certainly will be. We move on to Pittsburgh Knights and Nobles. This is the top of the table clash. Sure to be an absolute banger. Rhythm and Ferox will be the third match of tonight, much to what we thought would be the bottom 2 teams, but they have shown anything else, that's for sure. They've had some very close matches, and to top it off, Wildcard and Elevate sitting at a modest 3rd and 4th in the standings. I honestly don't think that it will get much closer in terms of matches than what we have tonight, Brendan.
Yeah, I really have to agree. But I mean, like, just in general, because of Wednesday just being full of close matches and some of those teams that we weren't expecting to performing, it just means I think all the rest of the Playdays Oceanic Nationals are all going to be hard to predict to an extent, and just all that more exciting.
Look, to be honest, exciting is probably the best way to put tonight. And for what has been the 3 match days before it, it has been nothing shy of a barn burner, if I will. I said barn burner way too much last week, so let's move on to have a look at Okami. Let's move on to bigger and better things, which will be tonight's first matchup on the side of Jack Daddy Joker, Cutie, Specker, and Itby Style. And of course, Sentis the coach. We have highlighted this roster multiple times. Somewhat a bit of a lackluster season so far, Raven.
Very much so. They made it into playoffs in Six Masters. They made it into the Oceanic Major, but they have not had a great Oceanic Nationals so far. In fact, on Wednesday, they lost 3-7 to Elevate. And you could argue Elevate is starting to rise back into some form, but it didn't look particularly close, to be honest with you. So I am definitely concerned about the form that Okami is in right now.
Well, they're going to have to step up because they are coming up against the other Orgless team, if you will, LFO. That is going to be, look, to be honest, a roster that has somewhat surprised us last season, and unfortunately this season just hasn't been able to get off on the foot they were hoping for.
Yeah, still searching for their first points for the tournament, as a matter of fact, but that 5-7 against Noble on Wednesday, I think is going to be a lot of confidence that they needed. Nate being the newest addition to the roster, there was a bit of a spotlight on him, potentially maybe not fitting in as well as they were expecting or hoping to fit in. But I think having such a competitive game on Wednesday, that will just help shed some of that pressure at least. And seeing that Okami is maybe flailing a bit in the shallows, LFO could definitely bring that into this game, and maybe we could see a bit of an upset here.
It's very interesting because both of these teams not performing in terms of the standings anyway to where we would expect. You mentioned Okami's performance on Wednesday and potentially even before that on Friday against Ferox, going 7-3 on Villa. Not the greatest of starts, but there is a sense that this could really turn the tide for LFO or Okami. The fact of the matter is we're coming toward the last 4 days of our play days, and we only have 7 of them. And if LFO fail to get a point here, if they fail to get the win, this could really spell danger for them.
Absolutely. This would be putting them down at 0-4 at the bottom of the ladder, and it basically means that if they want to make top 6, they'll have to have a perfect finish to the season. So like you said, only having 7 play days in best of ones with overtime, it does make every match count. And the fact that they are down 0-3, definitely scary time for them.
Certainly is. And look, I think the highlight that we can really bring for LFO is the fact that the last 3 teams they have, Rhythm, Elevate, and Ferox, the 3 teams were at the bottom of Six Masters in the season before. So I don't want to write them off if they can't grab the win this time around. However, with the performance we have seen from Rhythm and Ferox, it's really anyone's game. This season is really quite an intense one, just with how closely matched everyone is. But I mean, we do need to move along here. So let's have a chat about the map veto, Raven. 2 cafe maps already for LFO that we've seen in Oceanic Nationals this season. And on the side of Okami, we've seen 2 clubhouses. So would you expect to see either of those maps, or do you think that this could potentially be one of those cases where they're not really interested to take either team to it?
I think Cafe is potentially likely. Okami has had quite a few losses on that map though, but they've also played it quite a lot. Something they played fairly often in Six Masters. Kind of have an inkling that maybe Coastline might sneak through as well, because LFO's performed pretty well on that, but it's one of Okami's better performing maps, or they've got the one of their higher winning forms. So yeah, look, definitely keen to see how the map will actually shape this matchup.
Well, will we head to the funny little cliffside that is Coastline? Let's have a look. Let's go through the map vetoes and see where we will land. Cafe straight off. LFO not interested in playing it whatsoever, which is interesting because it is the 2. I mean, LFO has played it twice already, potentially not wanting to give away too much. But we do head to Oregon, which was played by LFO on Wednesday night, Raven.
It was, so maybe they feel confident in that. Maybe they feel like they can fix things. Okami, on the other hand, I reckon they've probably looked at it and said, we know what LFO is trying to do in Oregon. We can counter that.
Yep. Well, the other point to note, potentially with LFO kind of looking to ban out the theme park and consulate, leaving Villa and Oregon up to them, the choice. Villa has obviously been played by Okami. I believe it was against Ferox, and they did lose 7-3 on that map. Yeah. Don't know whether they don't want to give too much away, or potentially, a VOD review might play a part in there. But regardless, we are headed to Oregon. This is the map that LFO have just played a little less than 2 nights ago. Do you think we're going to be seeing a lot of counter-stratting from Okami?
I think to an extent, yes. But it's also a bit worrying for Okami because LFO did look pretty good on Oregon. And I think it favors a slightly more structured play style. And I would argue that LFO, oftentimes, if they are playing well, I feel like they present more structure than Okami. So I'm kind of leaning towards LFO after seeing the map, but it's been a tough one to predict, especially after the way that Wednesday went. I mean, I think this is a real 50-50 game.
Yep, for sure. Well, I'm sure the snowball predictions will show that in a hot second, because there you go, LFO. Actually, wowzers, that's interesting. That is very interesting. Okami obviously only being left in your hands there, Raven. Would you like to defend yourself?
Look, like I said, after Wednesday, it did change things, and I would like everybody to know that we did not do these before. After Wednesday, we did these like on Monday or something. So there's that. But look, I think Okami still have what it takes to win. They are a strong team. They've only changed one player. They got Specca in, who is a strong player in his own right. So I think it's just a matter of time before they get that click. And once they get that, I think it's something for teams to worry about. So it could be imminent. We might see that tonight on Oregon.
Well, with only 4 matches left for every team, that's including this one right now, it is really vital for each team to emphasize the importance of taking the wins when they can get them. It's LFO going up against Okami, Oregon, which was played for the first time in the Oceanic Nationals on just Wednesday night. We head there to decide the fate, potentially, of both of these two teams, right?
Yeah, like you said, it's actually something that we haven't seen a lot of in OS, and that's Oregon. Whereas globally, especially in EU and APAC North right now, it is the hot map. It is playing constantly. So maybe it's just about teams getting comfortable. Now that they're seeing strats from some of these international teams, maybe we'll start to see it develop a little bit more here in OS.
I did enjoy that meme from, I think it was Milosh who posted that on Twitter. So thank you for the enjoyable banter. What are the win conditions here, Raven? Because, you know, we were just saying that LFO, they do have a bit more structure than, say, Okami. However, both of these two teams, you know, in their own rights, could potentially be at the top 4 if it had not have been for the rocky start they've had to the season, or potentially just result-wise. What are the win conditions here? Are we looking for Cutie to potentially step up on Okami, maybe Specker to start his role, or are we looking more toward LFO with Mims and Sogs?
I think all of those are great points, to be honest with you, Manic. Cutie is definitely a consistent performer for Okami, so I think he's going to step up regardless. Yep. It's more strategic things that I think we need to see, or just, I would say, fundamentals on Okami's side, because what was happening against Elevate and what was happening against Ferox on that Villa is their opponents were just being able to get away with murder. Shade in particular in that Ferox match was flanking them left, right, and center, running out. It's just stuff like that that seems to derail them. So if they can get those fundamentals and basics down, watch their flanks, I think they'll already be much more fitted to be able to get the win.
Poor Thatcher, he does not see much play in the ANZ region, I will tell you that much. Any thoughts on the bans before we head into the first round, Raven?
Not a whole lot. I mean, Maverick and Thatcher off the board will make opening things like hatches quite tricky. Kaid is on the board at that fact, so hatches are going to be tough to deal with. But there's not many sites that you'll really have to worry about that. Obviously, the biggest one's going to be laundry. Not being able to open that electric hatch can be pretty key. Even the freezer hatch might prove difficult, and that's where we've seen LFO go first. They haven't gone to Kaid though, so it's actually something that Okami will be able to get away with.
We will be heading into it. This, of course, will start us off on the right foot. We have alluded to the fact that it will be a little bit more complicated for the attacking team to open those hatches. However, we'll see how LFO decide to bring this. They did have the opportunity to ban out that Kaid just in case they do head to that attacking side with a lesser margin. 71% of the community believe this is Okami's favor. And Raven, the community are with you, but the predictions are not.
I mean, it's funny you say that, because if I was able to change my prediction, I almost would have swung to LFO's side after seeing how Wednesday went, like, to be completely honest with you. But that's not me writing off Okami. I want to reiterate, I definitely believe they can win this game. But based on recent form, it just feels like LFO is actually going back up towards a peak, whereas it feels like Okami is still sinking.
Yes. And very quickly, I do want to preface this. I didn't in the pre-game, and we kind of touched on who they're going to be playing up against in the next couple of matches. But LFO have gone up against Wildcard Knights and Noble, which are all 3 of the top teams in the standings at the moment for Oceanic Nationals. So, you know, I think that that's definitely something we need to highlight. This is a great opportunity for LFO to really get on the board, get those points in, and start to put the pressure potentially on teams like Rhythm and Okami themselves. We can't go past that. Specker, he'll catch out Angmo on an extremely large roam. So castle down and a 4 versus 5 to ensue.
Yep, extremely large roam indeed. All by himself on the top floor when they're defending basement. Not 100% sure whether that was fully intentional. Maybe he's meant to be better supported or moved down, but got maybe pinched. Either way, he's off. Heel's getting tagged up heavy there in that shot from Ipisal, it looked like. So right now, this Okami clear has looked pretty decisive.
Yep, certainly has. Dotting the I's rather, Raven. I know that is a crutch phrase for me, but certainly in doing so, Okami have put a lot of pressure on LFO, especially so early on. Hill's taken a fair bit of damage as Okami just ensuring there is nothing else coming out. We'll start to open some deeper lines down the staircase, but Sogs, this could be extremely important here for LFO. If he can catch the timing out on at least one Okami member, it could be on.
This is what I was talking about. This could be really key here because it's Okami that we're getting constantly flanked by their opponents. If LFO can get away with this, it might really hit their confidence early. Sogs is going to see the shot on the Ippy style. Great start from LFO on the re-roam at least to try and bring it back.
Now he has the hatch control. Cutie just underneath him. Specker, however, is coming back from Kitchen. It all depends on where he decides to go. The hatch is not, rather the rotate is not being watched right now. It hasn't been noticed by Okami. Sogs, how's the timing on it? Specker will find him looking the other way. 30 seconds left, Raven. This is quite crucial.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they've had a whole lot of control here in bunker, so Nate is just going to sit back and pop that off. He gets a nice double. Beautifully played by Nate. Not going to get the third. Mims combines, leaving it all up to Cutie with 10 seconds, Matic.
Time is of the essence, and Hills will peak right as Cutie is caught coming through the door. And a 1-0 start. LFO doing great work to refrag that opening kill. Could that potentially have changed the tides there?
Yeah, maybe. I think definitely a concern for Okami that they didn't have Freezer stairs at all covered. No Claymore, no drone, no one watching it, absolutely nothing. Very common flank spot on Oregon. And that's the thing about the rework is there are 3 stairwells that can now be accessed from the basement. So you do have to be a little bit careful about that. It could be similar to Villa, where it also has all 2 stairwells that come up from the basement. Oh, no, 3. Yeah, no, 3. So very similar. And look, we saw how that went for Okami against Ferox, and it's a concern already that that was such a big opening that LFO was able to exploit.
Yes. So we can start to pop the question for Okami now. Was that potentially a 1-round blunder? You know, just the opening. Scarcely of information, or is it going to be the kink in their armor that potentially it could really be to their demise? But we will wait and see, Raven. It's very, very early days. Only round 1 of a potential 15 if we head to overtime. Obviously, I don't need to tell the viewers that. That is just expected, but it will be not as heavy with that roam, I believe, from LFO. It looks like Angmo is going to be playing more of the anchor in Maestro. So do we see only 4 on site, though? Where is that last LFO player?
It's definitely not as common at the moment to have a heavy roam when you're holding upstairs. Often the extension comes in through attic, and then maybe out towards trophy, which is where you see Mims playing at the moment. Pretty quick progression here from Jack Dad to be up on the master balcony. That might catch Mims off guard if he's not too careful. Very much aware now. Cutie already taking position in armory, so this is great progression from Okami to be able to just put a lot of pressure back on the side early.
Not wasting a lot of smoke. Sorry, a lot of time. I'm looking at the smoke. I am looking at the smoke, and I actually, potentially that was thrown up on top of an elevated position because it actually looked like Jack Daddy could see underneath it. I could potentially be wrong there, but regardless, they are going to push and take trophy control quite early, and they also have that rotate caught off if they try to come back, which I don't believe there is anyone in attic anymore, but best to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, and look, this is a slight flaw in their setup too. Cutie is able to hold an angle into that attic rotate. So that is now a position that is not really available to LFO. They have to get aggressive from just very strange places like the doorways, or they will have to try and get a flank off, which I would not be surprised if that is what LFO try to do sometime soon.
Oh, that could have been dangerous. Jack Daddy will take down Mims to open things up. And it looks like Okami have made some great progression so far. Obviously taking attic control. It'd be style looking for the contact on big window, but won't find anything just yet.
Looked like there was a flank about to climb the armory stairs as well, so hopefully Okami is looking out for that one. Heels has found his way into meeting, so they are going to have to be a bit worried, but Okami are nearly set for this execute, honestly. Jack Dad smoked off the rotate, so he can push in. He is going to start his plant Manix. This is going very well for Okami.
Wow. Oh my word. It be styling on LFO. And with Hills left coming from Classroom? Will he be able to find even the first kill, potentially the first in many hurdles, in 5 hurdles to be exact? He has to make his way around the main stairs. He'll find the first, but not expect Jack Daddy sitting in Armory. 4 players left alive for Okami, and that is what we needed to see as a response from round number 1.
Absolutely, that is what we had to see, because not only was it just generally a great attack, it was very confident. They saw the early gap that they could just get straight to Master, open the wall, and then there were so many just gaps in the way that LFO were holding that. I think the big one was that Cutie was able to just cut off that attic rotate. So attic position was nullified within a minute, I think it was, which is a really strong space to hold if you're trying to repel those attackers from trying to get the plant down. So big flaws in that hold from LFO that they need to try and fix up.
I would definitely force back very early. I'm sure they will not want to make the same mistake as we do head to the same site. Stairs now.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused
LFO, realistically, we've seen some close performances, Wildcard and Noble in particular, so we know what they're like in those dire situations. We know that they can at least turn the tides when it needs to be done, but this is definitely a moment for, I'm not going to say worry, not yet, but it is something that we will highlight throughout this match in particular. With both of these teams having, I mean, Okami especially having a very good season, in 6 Masters, which was stage 1 of Oceanic Nationals. So for them not to have backed it up necessarily yet, questions are starting to be poked and prodded their way, but they could shut them down in a single match.
Definitely a bigger surprise is Okami's lack of form in this Oceanic National stage as opposed to LFO's, given that this is their second season, talking about LFO here, their second season at this level of play in Australia. So I think it's common that teams so new would probably have some ebbs and flows in the way that their form goes, but Okami in general, they have been around for a long time and always in top 4, basically. So to see them just really struggling is quite the surprise. It's looking a bit better tonight so far, Manic, at least based on that last round. So hopefully they can continue.
As well, the note that they do have the top 3 teams coming up after LFO. Okami, really, I don't know whether they're going to be able to get away with only 1 win in 6 Masters if they can't manage to pull this off. So a lot actually riding on the line for this pivot match, if you will. The 4th Playday out of 7. We've got Mims holding. And this time, Okami haven't had as much luck in flushing those players back. Not yet, anyway.
No, so that's some good adaptations from LFO just to prevent that quick push, which is very critical right now. Still got a very similar setup at least though, so Okami, once they get the positions, will be able to. Mims is in a tough position right now. He's got himself almost cornered at Trophy. He's only got a shield really holding his back. Cutie might be able to just quick peek this from the hallway. He does, so just not covered well enough from his teammates.
Looked like Nate was trying to give some suppressive fire, obviously not really working out too well in that instance. They still do have that Maestro up, which could deny Games Wall. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen. Hills is going to get caught out this time. Specker, he was waiting for the drop-down hatch. A minute off the clock, and Okami once again have made a fair bit of movement. And it actually does deny, of course, that Games Wall. So now it will be a little bit more pressure on Okami, as that is one avenue they don't have necessarily.
No, just that line of sight, so they're not going to be able to get quick access, but Joker finds Sogs. That's going to be a big pick because it gives a 2-man advantage to Okami. It allows them to be able to refrag as they try and funnel back through. Nate trying to get aggressive, but it's going to be tough with this final 30 seconds. Okami do seem to have the advantage, and bigger now with Jack Dad's kill.
Yeah, Angmo though, he could potentially go massive. He'll be stopped at Specker, and Okami, another just like the other. That is 2 rounds in a row that we have seen what you would have to admit is quite a convincing take, Raven.
Pretty much, yeah. It was good from LFO to see the adaptations. It looked like they played it just slightly differently. The setup pretty similar, but the way they played it was different. But Okami adapted to that on the fly, which is probably something that they were struggling with in the past few play days. So that is a good sign early from Okami, and I honestly feel attacks will be more difficult in this matchup right now on Oregon.
Yep.
So if they're able to get at least another round, I think they will be happy, at least with that, if that's the best they get.
Yep.
Of course, they want more.
Of course, Raven. We can't go without saying that is. I mean, the goal of the game is really to win. So I would hope that more rounds are on the mind. But obviously, we're just making worst case scenario known, which tends to sometimes give a little bit more weight to these rounds. The understanding that you don't really have a lot to play with could potentially put more stress, more pressure on that attacking side, but we will be heading down to the basement. Now, last time out, LFO were able to claw back, not necessarily the round. It was not as if the round was completely out of question, but definitely that opening frag that Specker was finding all the way in
Attackers
dorms.
must locate and defuse a bomb.
He was still looking for something there.
Attackers recovered
By
the bomb
Pixel.
diffuser.
No castle this time. So bit of a change up here for LFO, which, look, it worked for them last time. It was more a late round thing that worked out well. The early round, like you said, Specker got that opening pick onto Angmo, who was playing the castle. So it looks like there's been some adjustments here. There's 4 players on site. Actually, all 5 of them are basically on site. There's just one on the tower stairs. Angmo looks like he's about to go for a bit of a stroll around Freezer. But yeah, it looks like it's a bit more passive from LFO this time around.
Taking big tower control early on there for Okami and potentially dismantling any of those roams that potentially may have been held. Hills has fallen back to pillar, and there's no pressure from construction right now. But as we saw in the previous round, Okami did end up putting a fair bit of attention that way, with only, I believe it was Cutie who ended up joining the 2 fallen teammates as he tried to make his way through the rotate. So potentially we could still see the attention being drawn there. For now, with that big tower control, it's one less area they need to be worried about.
Which is very important. And then obviously the other is these stairwells. So it looks like Specker is hanging out over near Freezer with the drone watching that firmly, which is good. And they need to be careful of the laundry stairs. Right now, that's not looking as covered. It looks like Mims is close to that stairwell at least, so maybe he might decide to go for that stroll. Really important that Okami just don't get flanked this time. I just think for their confidence overall, besides the obvious fact that they don't want to die, I think for confidence, it's really important. And that's not going to help Specker.
Not at all. Very close, I guess you could say at the end for Angmo. Might be counting his lucky stars, but that's not the start Okami would be hoping for, with Specker off the board so early. Obviously going for quite the aggressive fight. You'd say somewhat unfavorable there, Raven.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he had the info, though, and the higher ground, so the quick peek, but just given that it was against a Maestro, all you have to do is react in time, and your bullets are going to go, in general, the same direction for quite a lot. Cutie getting aggressive through the smoke with the crack grenade. Not going to be expecting Nate this close at all. He's going to get the pick on the Ippy style. He's just stuck in this corner, and honestly, he could hold it as the smoke.
He's done an incredible job so far at delaying the push. Make that another. The shotgun comes
Nate!
out as well. See you later, Okami. They'll be sent for the 4th round, and we'll tie it up to a piece. Nate playing a pivotal role in round number 4.
Oh, pivotal is one way to put it. That was huge from Nate. He was backed in a corner, Manic. Nowhere to go. He had his teammate on the evil eye just giving him the info. He played it beautifully. So really, really good from LFO there. Okami is not able to get the job done. Looks like we're going to have a tight contest.
I actually love that off angle from Nate. There we're going to see it again. Absolutely nasty, and gets away by the skin of his teeth. There is a world in which he is instantly traded out there, but unfortunately Okami are just too late to respond.
Yep. 3
And I
players and a
suppose-
frag grenade came his way,
Yeah.
by the way, and he lost 5 HP.
When you put it like that, it kind of sounds a little bit ridiculous, doesn't it? I mean,
Just
the
given
fact
that
of,
he couldn't go anywhere, yeah.
I think the fact of the matter is, Okami would have been a little bit stressed there, knowing that Nate, obviously on that smoke, would have been able to pull out that shotgun at such close quarters of them coming around the corner from construction. So you can potentially see why there wasn't an instant trade. And unfortunately, the Ants go marching one by one, hurrah, and you are having a great time if you're Nate. But we can move on from that now.
Yep.
10 seconds left before insertion.
Yeah, Nate would be feeling pretty gassed up after that, and we said in the pre-show that he hasn't had the greatest start to the season, or greatest start to his appearances on this roster, as it is his first season with them. But that's going to help a lot, because that was a huge round from him that he played really well. So full credit to Nate there. And I was talking a lot about that round, things that Okami need to do to boost their confidence.
Yep.
And yeah, a couple of big things that definitely didn't was Specker losing that gunfight to the Maestro. Yep. And then losing 3 players to that smoke is definitely not going to help.
Not in any way. And that's one thing that we highlight quite often, which is, you know, the confidence of certain players. And I mean, you can tell me if you think I'm wrong here, but Specker is one of those players that absolutely thrives off confidence and off momentum. So
yeah,
definitely something they'll have to address for Specker.
Gonna try and clear out this washroom. This is the first time Okami's been attacking this bomb site. First time LFO has chosen it, at least. Something they'll have to freshly adapt to. They have cleared out the washroom though, so that's some good early control that Okami will be able to have. Should they take it, they just have to make sure there is no rotate that is able to be made into there. But at this position of the round, I feel like Okami has made some great progress to side.
Opening up just underneath TV there. They're doing a great job so far. Obviously, one thing to note, starting to dwindle a little bit on drones there, but obviously taking a large portion of that west side, it does give them a little bit more time to relax, if you will. Actually, I believe that's only 4, so Sogs with a long line will drop Cutie. Opening frag goes the way of LFO.
Yeah, that's going to stall out Okami just a little bit, I'd say, because Cutie can be a really good instigator for them. So they're going to just utility dump right now to try and clear this shield. But Ibistyle, he's been taken down by Nate again. This man is standing up. So with 2 players down, Okami is starting to really struggle with this attack.
So promising early on. And now they're probably going to have to rely on some opening frags here. Potentially some moments of madness from maybe it is Spec Up. We'll be able to find Mims. It looks like it's being stuck here from Joker. So 30 seconds left on the board. They will be able to get it down successfully, Raven. The post plant is in full swing, and he'll trade them out, but Nate is there to take down Joker as well. Specker in a 1 versus 3 finds the close corner and is forced to back away. And that will be LFO once again successfully taking round number 5.
Yeah, really well played from LFO. They didn't stress too much when they lost a lot of that map control early. Losing this washroom was a big deal for that defense, because I mean that meant they had to sit right back and just be prepared for the way that Okami pushed in. And they didn't freak out. They didn't try to make something happen. They didn't get too extreme. So look, I think that was really well played from LFO. They made Okami continue just to push forward into a mistake or into a line of sight that they just weren't ready to contest on.
Yep. Now we'll head back to the second floor. Maybe third time's a charm for LFO, and you'd have to hope so. They are looking for the 4-2 half. Obviously, 3-3 would be... you'd be cheering if you are Okami after LFO's performance in those past 2 rounds anyway. And Nate has been stepping up. We were not necessarily questioning the ability, more so the momentum that they've been able to gain so early on, and this could potentially kick them off on a bit of a late run for the rest of the season. But we'll see whether they change anything here, or whether they do believe that those mistakes that were made can be fixed.
Something that I'm definitely worried about as well, Matic, is that Okami seem to be, I think you already said it, in fact, that they are a bit of a confidence team, or they roll with the momentum. At least that's what it's looked like for this season, because in their losses against Ferox and Elevate, they were losing the earlier rounds and then just never really were able to claw back into it. Their opponents generally getting 3 or 4 in a row to close out the map. So I think what's important right now is that Okami just stay in touch with the game and then just back themselves in on their defenses.
keep their finger on the pulse, if to say. Now, Angmo last round, obviously with one of the evil eyes, I believe, was in the bedroom closet. Now, I'm not entirely sure whether they've got that there again. It seemed to cause a little bit of trouble in clearing that wall. This time they'll bring the mute instead to ensure that at the very least it's going to take a little bit more than just Jack Daddy going ahead with the ace and opening the wall. And Mims has adapted. Mims is actually playing behind the bed. So potentially could be another way that LFO just catch out Okami early on. And the C4 is prepped, Raven. Oh my word.
That could have been deadly.
I wish.
That would have been very deadly. If Jack Dad wasn't able to find the angle in the mute jammer, you would have wondered how Okami dealt with that. Jack Daddy might have just decided, I'll open it and see if they get pre-fired. But nope. That was the play in the end, and he's going to be able to get in and open the main wall. So this is a very critical stage, happening very early now for Okami in these attacks.
Not wasting any time. The smoke down to give him a little bit of cover. They'll at least deny one extra line of sight, if you will, extra rotate into the sight from closet. So now that is nothing but a mere line of sight for Okami. And potentially, if you do look at it that way, LFO, they do have Attic, or at least Attic rotate in the firm control of Okami.
Yeah, so we might see them rotate towards a bit of a kids push here. Pistol is going to go on the windows, but now that they have access to that Attic, he's going to potato onto the mute. Does finally finish it off onto Mims. But yes, with that Attic control now, or the rotate going into that, kids might be the more viable option for them here.
LFO are crumbling right now at the pressure Okami are putting on them. Hills, could he be the turn of the tide here? The defense definitely looking to close this 4-2, but I don't think it's going to happen. Okami have just looked too good when attacking this site. Hills now making a rotate underneath as Okami press the site. They start to push forward a little bit more. Sogs is going to be caught out in the corner. He will rotate as well, potentially giving them an opportunity, but in a post-plant, Raven doesn't look too promising for LFO.
No, it looked like they didn't have enough info or any intel, in fact, that the plant was going down. They've been pushed out of sight. Sog's taken down. So all up to Hills on the rotate back up. He does potato onto Joker, who closes the round for Okami. Makes it a nice even 3-3, Rob.
We do like symmetrical, I guess it doesn't really matter, whatever. Symmetric score lines at the end of the day. It is Okami now that will be heading to their defense and straight down into the basement, not wasting any time. Will we see the Kaid, or will they opt to, similar to what we saw from LFO, just completely dismiss it? And it looks exactly that. A little bit more intel gathering with the Valk though.
Yeah, definitely favoring the intel by the looks of things. If they stick this one I reckon they're going to extend out into blue. Ooh. They are 6-picking to the Kaid, so this is going to make the hatches a little bit trickier to deal with. Again, it's not super critical anymore with the way the Oregon rework has happened. The main hatch that you will want open is going to be the electrical hatch, because it does put a lot of pressure back into towards side.
What would you say would be harder to open if, of course, they do go the Kaid, which they have? Would you think that it's going to be harder for them to open electric, or is it more so the laundry hatch? I mean, obviously you're saying that they do want the confidence to take that electric hatch, but
yeah,
always have what we want.
Laundry hatch doesn't feed directly to site anymore. I mean, like it drops down right next to it, but it definitely it doesn't have the impact it used to. Whereas that electrical hatch hasn't moved. And it can be very helpful for post plant in particular. If you plant within view of the hatch, you can hold it from above. So I would favor electrical hatch over laundry. But of course, this is going to happen for other walls as well. They don't have a Maverick. They don't have a Thatcher. So just trying to get access to clear these electric claws is going to be very tough for LFO.
Cutie missing by a millimeter, a pixel. And we'll re-attempt the electric claw. So double wall now being a little bit of a pest for LFO's attack when they do eventually come to site, but LFO, I mean, we were saying before that between the two teams, they do seem to be the more methodical, the more patient, if you will, and I think that's kind of being shown. This time they're going to go from west to east with the roam clear, and they will catch off Itby style, potentially being pushed out by Hills there on double windows, so he won't be able to get back to site.
No, didn't quite see where he came from. I thought maybe he came up Freezer stairs, but either way, caught off guard, that's for sure. It's a good start for LFO in these attacks, and again, we talked about potentially the confidence issues that Okami might accumulate through the rounds they consecutively lose. So that could be a bit of a hindrance there, but Specker is holding a nice tight angle on Freezer that Mims might just walk into.
He is hungry like the wolf, and he will be fed some dinner. Specker will back away off the trade in the earlier kill on Itby style, and they do have laundry hatch open. Obviously, I don't think there was any denial there, so there was no stress in opening it up whatsoever. Would you say that LFO have gotten off to a good start?
I'd say generally. I really don't know why Mims didn't just like get a drone to go down Freezer stairs first. Just crouch walked it. I think they really could have just done a drone, but oh, Nate getting a bit aggressive here. He gets jacked out off the board. So LFO, maybe it was questionable if they had started well, but right now they have the man advantage, Rob.
They certainly do. Sogs, however, will be traded out from Cutie into a 3v3. LFO looking to come from Freezer as well, and Okami, they were watching the line. Angmo just progressing ever so gently, and Specker will hold the line. So anyone that does decide to come and support, or potentially if Angmo decides to move back, will be in a little bit of trouble. For now, Specker holds nice and tight. Oh, did he just see the top of his head, Raven?
I think he just missed it, yes. And oh, he's going to end up paying for it too. Angmo quick peeks him. Leaves LFO with a solid man and HP advantage. They are so close to sight here. Hills gets one Manic, 20 seconds, all up to Joker.
Maybe if he hits that, it's on. But now he's going to need to deny Hills. He'll do exactly that and just get through the rotate in time. But now, surely he's stuck. He actually manages to find his way back. Has he baited out Angmo? No. Angmo looking across to Electric for half a second. Potentially may have been given an opportunity had he have pushed through that rotate hole, but it is denied in the end. And Okami, all things considered, they are going to bounce back. Oh, sorry. LFO. Names are mixed up.
That's fine. That's fine. Speaking of Okami, though, that defense wasn't terrible, but there was some things that they really needed to do. Crossfires, I think, was something that they lacked a bit of. Not a lot of trades or refrags were particularly possible in the way that they had bid pushed back to site. So you could credit LFO for that a little bit, but LFO were definitely there to make mistakes. One that they did capitalize on was Mims just crouch walking down, but look, overall, I think that was starting to lean a bit 50-50, but just the aggression in that last part of the push from LFO really just pushed it over the line.
Yeah. Need to see a few more of those before we can start to tell a storyline, but LFO are only one away from forcing it to match point. And Okami... Stranger things have happened. I do... It is.
2 rounds to match point.
It has really absolutely cooked me today. I think, my apologies. I think, to be honest, in complete fairness to LFO, they have definitely looked the better team to start with, and it has been close, if you would say, in that first half, but Okami, realistically, they got all their rounds from that second floor defense of LFO. So potentially, it may be a completely different story right now, had they been able to at least confirm one of those rounds.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, is that Okami lost their first laundry defense, which is what LFO looked so good on, was the laundry defenses. So it might be a bit of a swap here. And speaking of a swap, this attack is quite different to that previous attack we just saw.
Yep. A bit more attention and construction this time, very early on as well. They are doubling up. Joker and Itby style playing on the back of each other there. They still have those ADS systems in place, so if LFO still want to progress, they will have to at least put more pressure in terms of burning through those. And with Joker on the smoke, this could be disastrous if LFO continue to put their pressure there, which obviously it's just Nate and the remainder of the squad are looking to take more control across the map. Sogs has wasted no time, in fact, on that Jackal. Something worth noting as well, obviously.
Yeah, look, sorry, I just noticed this is such a great example of overreacting to the early pressure because Okami just basically all swarmed towards blue. Freezer was completely open for a while there. LFO did not realize. And they're just dropping like flies. Hills finally answers back, but Okami are getting some great refrags right now. So that is going to give them a very strong two-man advantage.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
Sogs making his attention fully known. And just has to be careful of Specker that will be able to hold this line if he wants to. The C4, well, potentially there was a bit of timing there, but really get it over the lockers. Sogs goes back for a re-peek. Oh, get baited out, Itby style. Sogs with a great readjustment there and almost catches Specker as well. The smokes will come out. Raven, they might be able to go for a plant here.
They might be able to, and I'm not sure whether Okami fully read it. They got the smoke babes though, at least. Angmo is going to push it deep. He's going to catch them off guard. Brings it a 2 versus 2, Rob. Totally doable. Specker brings it back though for Okami. It's all up to Angmo. He's been tagged pretty low, and he's not going to be able to get it though. He did trade, so it would have been all down to Specker, but Okami get that round.
Yeah, that was, I guess, at the end in a 2 versus 4, that was actually really well done to give themselves an opportunity. Angmo dropping those smokes and just allowing them to push a little bit deeper there. Anything could have happened at that point after they find that Kaid holding the line. And, I mean, if the peaks go a certain different way, you know, the round is close nonetheless. And we will, after a successful attempt, head to the dorms. Cutie on the clash. It'll be an interesting one. And just showing face. That is a lot of wall denial, Raven.
That is a lot of potential wall denial right there. You are correct. They could be using the mute jammers, those Kaid electric claws, or the bandits. So look, I think this is great because it's the thing that the bands really create the weakness of, and that's opening these reinforced walls. Because you don't have the EMPs. Normally you then default back to a Maverick, so you do the Maverick trick. Can't do that either. So I think they're going to have to try and get verticals, which they don't have buck for. They don't have an IQ even to spot out some of these gadgets. I think this could definitely prove difficult for LFO, and Okami just need to be able to hold their positions and not let LFO get this like early advantage in towards site.
Yep. Potential with the turtle. Could be a fair bit of pressure. And LFO have stepped up to the call on multiple occasions so far this season. Just to reiterate, still yet to really win a game, period, in Oceanic Nationals in this stage 2. 2 players dropping down. Addict Hatch. Jack Daddy. And Specker going to be holding those vertical lines and at least ensuring that LFO have to clear them.
Looks like they are. Those drones just spotted out Jack Dad as well, so very much aware that the extension below has occurred. They've opened that server hatch as well to drop into freezer, so really indicating here that Okami are wanting to stay elusive and run around, cause some pressure for LFO to constantly be thinking about things like the flanks and how that's going to work out. Mims and Hills have got the entry right now though, and Mims might even be going to watch that freezer drop off. This could be a good play.
Hills at the moment just starting to get into position as the drones come out a little bit deeper. As you said, down in the basement now. Mims will be able to catch them out. Hills nearly getting a line under the footing of Specker. It'd style to open up on Nate. That's the Habana down. Now with only Angmo for that hard wall reach. Hills though, that's a nice trade. There's still one more in there. Looks like they know full well.
Specker has rotated back in the kitchen. Sogs is holding that though. Not going to win the gunfight. Specker with the nice quick peek onto
Attackers
Sogs.
recovered the diffuser.
Give Okami back the man advantage. The roam working out generally pretty well. They did lose Jack Dad, but it's caused some headaches to LFO. Like you said, losing the hard breach on the Habata. But now they've also lost that extra body. Specker on quite the run now, all through the basement back in towards lobby. He might be coming up on the other side of LFO teammates here, and they seem unaware right now.
This could be monstrous. This could be the round in the bag. Specker, he's not interested in moving too early here. He has, in fact, heard Hills drop, and he'll come directly down Laundry Stairs, connecting and ensuring that a 2 versus 4 now will ensure LFO's demise. All walls, Electric Lord, and they are in for a surprise.
Yeah, look, it's going to be very tough. They're getting smoked out. Specker is still flanking from somewhere, and there's only 2 of them where they can't open anything, really. All the walls are hard. So this is going to be pure gunfights in the final 15 seconds.
Choke points being choke points, there's pretty much no chance they're going to be able to make their way through. You'd have to imagine the second they turn around the corner, bada bim, bada boom, that is the round Okami we're looking for. 2 defenses back to back. An unsuccessful 3 attempts for LFO on that site. That could potentially spell disaster for them as Okami take the lead.
I mean, this is where it's really going to come down for Okami. If they are going to take the win, they need to be winning this auxiliary bomb site, this 3rd elusive one, whether people choose meeting hall kitchen or kitchen dining. It seems to be a bit of a mix-up. But this is an important site to win right now. On top of the fact that if Okami do win this, they'll finally give themselves some breathing room, and they'll be on match point.
Yes, unlike LFO that need 2 to get to match point. Am I right, Raven?
Attackers need to locate and
Yes, good
defuse
job, bro. Good job.
1, 2, I actually don't think many... Wait, hang on, is Sesame... I can't remember, is Sesame Street worldwide?
Yes, yes.
It is, isn't it? Because they're in New York.
Yes. Come on, mate.
I had to make sure. Oh, mate, I mean, come on, let's be fair.
You
How
fixed
many
up- you
Australian
fixed up your
TV
maths.
shows are there?
Yeah, not many, right?
Yeah, actually, to be fair, not many. But Play School is, so, you know. I have been right at somewhere there. Specker, is he looking for a little cheeky hoo-ha here?
Jack Daddy? Yes.
Oh,
think
my
so.
word. I am... It's the dude. It's
Yeah,
the
look,
dude.
they got you last week. They got you last week. They were all
They
ippies,
did.
and now they're dudes. So
It's so tilting. It's so tilting.
you love it.
I do. I have no other choice but to love it, to be honest.
If I did miss the Jack Dad did miss the opportunity to spawn peek there, but he's just gonna hang out at the top tier of tower. LFO about to drone it and realize that it's not just free, and he's gonna catch the drone at that fact. So he's actually gonna use that as intel against LFO.
I believe he placed 2 pests on the window. I'm not sure whether I heard that audio cue correctly or not, but I am almost certain he had a second one there. So had Mims really dedicated there and really sent it, he would have had, well, quite the upper hand. But LFO just completely dismiss it and decide
the bomb diffuser.
to move across the small tower instead. Right decision, Raven? We'll wait and see, I guess.
Yeah, well, Sogs definitely didn't get the memo to move because Cutie has got him. Didn't quite see where exactly he died, but Cutie is actually hanging out over in attic. So this is working really well from Okami so far. This spread over towards tower. Joker playing down in meeting below. They've got a very good vertical presence here, and LFO have started to take from the west side in towards dining. Can start to put pressure into kitchen, but without clearing that vertical, I think there's going to be a very tough execute from LFO.
You would imagine so. Okami, they really just need to sit and wait for LFO to pretty much walk into the hands. They trying to find an angle to dorms, but of course, Hippie Style just sitting in the corner. Mims just on the other side of... Oh, that was fortunate. He will at least catch out the Valk, and I believe the Valk's actually been able to get away there. Cutie re-peeks, and Mims, he'll wait, and he will eventually get his so well-deserved kill.
Oof, Specker under a bit of fire there, though, at the kitchen doorway. Feels like a really pivotal round right now. This is tooth and nail from LFO in a tricky attack. They're doing well. Specker, though, he is in such a strange position in that server room towards kitchen. It doesn't look like LFO are going to push it. They're going to take through meeting, and this is actually bomb site, so they could get the plant down in here if they feel like they've got enough control, and I'm still skeptical that they do.
It's definitely going to be a tricky one no matter what happens. Specker now coming on the flank. Will Hills see it? The C4 to deny Hills, but not the plant. And now 2 versus 3. There's about 30 seconds left for Okami to make their play. Specker is what they need. He'll find the double opening. Mims will be taken down by Yippee Style. And we are headed to match point for Okami here. A nice round in number 10 from Specker.
Was a great retake from them. They had the intel they needed, and again, I was skeptical. I didn't feel like LFO had enough of that control. 3 of them just basically hunkered in a single corner. Doesn't usually work out too well, and that it didn't. Specker having a big game for Okami right now. They are on match point, Manic, and it feels like they might be able to take this one.
We do head back to Laundry, which will, of course, be their 3rd attempt. 1 from 2 at the moment. And Kaid again for that hatch to Electric. It's worked out a fair chunk of the time, and LFO, even in the round that Okami were able to win in the 4 versus 2 advantage, you still felt like LFO had an opportunity. So this could be the turning of the tides, but it has to be now. Otherwise, this will be 4 straight losses in Oceanic Nationals for the August roster. Well, which one, Raven? That's LFO I'm talking about.
Yes, look, I think if LFO do go on to lose this, which at the moment, it feels like that's how it is going to go. There's still some positives. I mean, like, they have had 4 tougher teams in Oceanic Nationals in the first 4 games, and they've had some relatively close matches. I mean, this has been very close. It's definitely a match that could have been theirs, still can be. And I think on top of that, Nate has had a great game, and he hasn't really felt like he had slotted in that well in the past few matches, but I'll tell you what, watching him today, it looks like they've really started to figure out a lot of their issues, and this is starting to feel like a really good cohesive team.
Something for the future for sure with Rhythm, Elevate, and Ferox. That is the lineup they're going to be up against for the remaining 3 Playdays, and you would have to say that, well, bar Elevate, the matches should realistically go the way of Elevate. However, you know, this season has been an absolute wild ride for Rhythm and Ferox with how many close matches they've had. Once again, LFO with early construction pressure. Oh, Itby start. Catching one out there. That is a fair bit that LFO are going to have to get through there, Raven.
Yeah, it is. And look, the round that Okami won, they held blue really well. So I'm not too sure what LFO's trying to do here. Maybe they're just trying to catch them off guard and get a nice quick pinch here. Doesn't look like it though. And I'm concerned because, like I said last time, this is the way they pushed. That was the one that didn't work out for them. What worked much better was when they were spread out, took Freezer, took Laundry.
Well, it looks like they've tag teamed in and out. We've seen Nate and Angmo head to the big tower. Joker, though, potentially could be a monstrous start. That is the Ash off the board, but they're still not able to get that Electric Claw, obviously sitting on the other side of the wall, Raven.
Yep.
Attackers dropped the diffuser. Attackers recovered the diffuser.
Yeah, they don't have any idea where it is. They don't have the IQ. It's something to highlight. I felt like LFO had been adapting pretty well, but something I think they really needed for this attack in particular, if they wanted to open that hatch, was going to be an IQ. You've got to find where that Electric Claw is and figure out whether it's really worth it or not. So it's going to be really tough because they don't have a whole lot of map control. They don't have their Carly anymore. 2 people in a disadvantage. I think this is going to be Akami's round.
Oh
Matic.
my word. you feel as though Cutie shouldn't have been allowed to get both of those kills. He might go for a third here as well. One more on the big tower stairs, and it'll be the big three-piece as Nate does fall, and all the attention is on Sogs. Could this be the way it closes out in the fourth play day, our opening match of the night? Okami are so hungry, and a flawless round to end us out, Raven. Okami well and truly deserved that one.
They did. Look, it's like I was saying, I really felt like this was going to be won or lost with the attacks, and Okami, they held in there in their attack half, so great job from them. Good to see them back in winning form at a 7-4 at that fact, so well played. Specker with a big one, Matic.
Well, we were talking earlier in the pregame, and we did say that Specker was potentially one of those win conditions if he's able to step up, and that's exactly what we needed to see. 13 kills from him, and it's not even just the 13 kills, but it feels the impact of those kills he had, you know, the flanks coming from all the way on that attacking side, ensuring that LFO couldn't get too comfortable so early on in the game. He started out, and it just really steamrolled LFO from there on in.
Yeah, it really did. Specker was just a tough player to keep down, and LFO did good in their defense rounds, but I think really when Specker and Okami rotated the defense, he wreaked havoc on them. He had a great half, and I just think overall Okami, they started to play a lot cleaner than LFO. LFO started to struggle to adapt. They didn't look like they were changing enough. I think that last round in particular, really questionable. They continued with that bunker push and tower push, and they weren't bringing what they needed to be able to deal with the setups that Okami were putting together.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you know what? We got Centis to interview, so let's have a chat with him and see what he thinks of the matchup. Congratulations.
Is that me? That's totally me, right?
Oh, no, it's backwards. I can't see it.
Oh, no, wait, what? I mirrored my cam. No. I'm once again
Tell us. We need... The context is great. You are asking for support. After that one, I'm sure there's a lot more support. How are you feeling? I mean, that is a really generic question, but, you know, I think that game could have been a lot closer. LFO and Okami, I think, two of the same in terms of, you know, where we were expecting the standings to be at the start of the season. You guys are now 2-2 in your matches.
Yeah. So the issue we had in the beginning was that we tried out too many new things. We've just been going here new strats, here new pushes, everything. And if you look back on Okami, we've never been the team to just bring new things every week. We've been doing the same thing over and over again. We were really good at it. And so we just kind of went back to it. We still had a few rounds where we tried new things, and it worked sometimes, but sometimes not. So I'm still thinking we can do better, and we can be more consistent and just do our thing and do it right. But in general, I think I'm very proud of the boys. It wasn't as good as expected, but definitely win, which is what we needed. So very happy about that.
Yep.
Yeah, and you mentioned about being able to move forward and be consistent and confident in the way you guys are playing. You will have Noble on your next play day on Wednesday. How do you feel seeing that Noble are in that top 2 position right now and the way that you guys played tonight? Do you feel confident coming into that matchup?
I do feel confident. Yeah, I think we have a good shot if we just once again do our thing and do it right. I think there shouldn't be any problem at all to beat them. But we'll see how it goes. We still have a lot of things to work on, and once we get that done, I think there's nothing standing between us and then the playoffs, and especially then higher placement, hopefully first.
Yeah, for sure. I think that this could potentially be the turning point. Obviously, you know, there was LFO, then you've got Noble, Pittsburgh Knights, and Wildcard for the last 3 remaining games. So I think that this one has really set you on your way for the playoffs at the very least. And we wish you the best of luck. And I'm sure we'll speak to you on Wednesday.
Thank you. Speak to you then. Bye.
High hopes, and that's what we needed to see. That's exactly what we would have expected. I think that was a pretty convincing and confident performance from Okami.
It was a lot better than some of their previous matches. And look, you could argue that maybe LFO is a slightly easier opponent. I don't think so. LFO really did show up tonight. They looked a lot better than their previous matches, at least. I just felt like Okami have stepped it up based on the poor performances we saw in previous weeks. So that's great to see, and I think that's definitely a concern for the teams above them. because they might start to rise back up through those ranks.
And it is one of those teams that we know, really does gain their momentum and can run off with it. And so this could, I did say, turning point, pivot point. I really do think that this could be the point for Okami, like you're saying, where they really can go and push on for these last 3 teams that they've got to play. I think, fortunately for them, they had the easier games first, so it's allowed them, I say easier, not exactly easy if I'm being completely honest, after dropping to Ferox and Elevate as well. I think that's kind of put them on the back foot a little bit there, but I'm happy to see that they are back to winning forms. However, we are going to move on to Enigma and hear what he has to think, his thoughts rather, on the matchup that just was. Enigma, it's good to see you. Smiles again. It's always great for the to see your gorgeous face here. A little bit of banter, no doubt. But a 7-4 loss. I can't stop it. I have to. How are you feeling? Because I think that Okami really did feel like they were in the driver's seat from that second half onward.
Yeah, and to be fair, they were. The thing was, the craziest thing is, I have to address what's going on within the team, but, we knew that we were going to go to Oregon. We broke it down exactly what maps were going to be played, and we just knew that was what's going to be the case. And we knew that they had voted us, so, we decided to switch up the strats on the defense. And again, little bits and pieces didn't just connect here and there. And then on the attack, it was a good, first round attack defense downstairs up against them, but then it just went to shambles after that. And listening to what the comms were, it's again people just getting flustered when things aren't going their way, which consequently just turns things around on us. And then unfortunately, before we know it, it's a 6-4, and then people are already at that stage where they're just not in that mental capacity to just reset and really just get themselves back to 0-0, let's get it done sort of.
Yeah, like they're a bit mentally checked out kind of thing. I definitely get what you
100%.
mean. Look, it's speaking of that, there's going to be a lot of pressure for the final 3 games that you guys have. You are still winless, and only 3 games remaining means that you guys have to be near perfect. So how are you feeling coming into these closing weeks of Oceanic Nationals?
As you guys know, I don't really feel too much pressure. I just deal with things the way they come. At the end of the day, you've exactly said it, Raven. It's a do or die sort of thing. So, now more than ever, we're just going to have to really sit down. I'm going to have to individually speak with each one of the players and just tell them, or they know already, but, they're going to get a little bit of the Enigma treatment, you could say. So, the harsh reality of things. It's just going to be the way it is.
Scary stuff,
hopefully, mate, you know it, just like in the caster stack, man, it's just silent but deadly sort of stuff. So I got to get it done. So hopefully by next week, depending on how the maps go tonight, we'll see how we can bounce back and, just really just smash at it and just give it everything that we possibly can.
Yeah, well, I would assume that with those top 3 teams out of the way now, you guys have what would be the back end of a season that you can really strive for to push into those playoffs. So I wish you the best of luck, and we will see you next week, my dude.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys. See you later.
No suit tonight. Maybe that was it. Maybe it was the no suit.
Bad jinx, but he was wearing a suit the last 3 play days, so what do you make of that, Rob?
Don't ask me those kind of questions.
Sorry, mate. Look, I think it's a scary time for them. They have to be perfect for the next 3 weeks to stay out of that relegation zone to get into playoffs. They have, I think, still tough opponents, honestly. The 3 that they've got left, while maybe not the caliber of these other teams they've already played, they've proven to have pretty good form in Oceanic Nationals so far. So I don't think it's going to be an easy ride home.
No, not at all. It's a bit of a concern. However, for Okami, it is looking better. We're going to go to a short break, and on the other side, it is going to be the top of the table clash. Knights taking on Noble.